All right, Guru, another restaurant recently agreed to settle a class action lawsuit because the servers' tips were not given to them properly. My questions are these. How much should you tip a server in a restaurant? And number two, is there any real way of accounting for restaurant owners from skimming tips from their employees?
Well, let's start with this about what these lawsuits were about. These lawsuits were specifically about the issue of tip sharing. Now, the Fair Labor Standards Act actually prohibits sharing tips between tipped and non-tipped employees. And in the restaurant world, it's called front of the house and the back of the house. So tips are defined as the sole property of employees to whom it was paid, given, or left to. Now, you also have employers here. They're prohibited from deducting those tips or collecting those tips. Those tips are supposed to go to the people that earned it. So tips are not supposed to be allocated between, shall we say, the non-service employees, like the cook, the dishwashers, and those types of people, and the people who have the direct contact with the public. And that's what those class action lawsuits were about. They were about that those tips were being shared with people who were not having direct contact with the patrons of these restaurants. And that's a no-no, and that's why the class action lawsuit ruled in favor of those tipped employees. Now, as far as how much you should tip, I think most people know that the general guideline is 15 to 20% based upon how you feel the service was. If it was average service, then you leave 15%. If you felt it was more exceptional or better, then 20%. Personally, I like to start at 20%, and I usually land somewhere between 25 and 30 because I know people are working really hard for those tips, for their income, and I like to see them rewarded for their hard work.